Good evening. This is Richard Williams. We're talking this evening about myths about the Bible. And the one we're looking at tonight it said the Bible was written centuries after the event it describes supposedly happened. Every Jewish scholar, and has for centuries, all ascribed the first 5 books, the Torah, to Moses. So when you look at, of course, Genesis, the first couple of chapters, you know that's God's divine revelation to him on all the way up through the Exodus. But from Exodus on, basically Moses was there. It was right. He was writing about events that happened. Joshua is believed to have wrote the book of Joshua. Joshua led the children of Israel into the land of Canaan. Samuel is believed to have wrote the book of Judges. And maybe even Ruth. So, I mean, we're not talking centuries. We're talking a short time period. But let's look at the New Testament, because a lot of people, they always want to throw, the gospel was written long after Jesus was born, after Jesus died. All right. Jesus was crucified and rose from the dead, 33 AD. Can I tell you that many scholars believe Matthew's gospel was written somewhere between 49 AD and 51 AD. That's 16, 17, 18 years. Not even 20 years. Matthew was one of Jesus' disciples. He was a tax collector. Jesus walked by his tax booth and said, "Follow me," and he followed him. So, I mean, that's to say that was centuries later is foolish. The Gospel of Mark was written by Mark, who was a traveling companion of Peter, who was also one of the 12 apostles. And his church historian, Eusebius said that basically what Mark did in Peter's sermon, he wrote down notes and compiled it, and that's where he put his gospel from. Wasn't centuries later. Luke's gospel was written by the only Gentile in the gospel, but he was a traveling companion of Paul. And Paul was in prison 2 years in Caesarea, and Luke talked about firsthand accounts. So while Luke, during that time, he interviewed people who were still alive. And he put the Gospel of Luke together. Not centuries. That's what you have to understand. And he wrote the book of Acts. He ended it when Paul was in prison the first time. The church history tells that the first trial at Nero, he was released, and he traveled around for a couple of years, was rearrested, and then when he was beheaded. Luke didn't cover that because he had already finished it. The epistles of Paul were written during Paul's lifetime. And so here you have someone saying, well, the Bible was written centuries later. Not really. I mean, I hate to tell you that, but not really. Isaiah, all you Jewish scholars believe Isaiah wrote the book of Isaiah during his lifetime. Now, I know there's some liberal scholars out there who want to say Isaiah 1, Isaiah 2, Isaiah 3, Isaiah 4. They're wrong, okay? They're dead wrong. There was only one Isaiah. Jeremiah wrote the book of Jeremiah. I mean, here's the thing about it. These people that make these statements, here's what it tells you. They know absolutely nothing about the Bible. They've never read it, most of them. Making speculations, just seeing where it would go. But let me ask you something. The Bible, we'd like to prove it wasn't no centuries later. But can I tell you, do you know how long Muhammad was dead before the Quran was written? Try about 600 years, 6 centuries. You said, well, I didn't know that. The first story about his life was written about that time. No first-hand witnesses. Well, I didn't know that. See, a lot of people will take stuff like that and say, well, no. You want to believe something that's true, buy yourself a Bible and read it. Get on your knees and ask God to help you understand it if you don't. Because I'm going to tell you something. In the world we live in, there's a lot of truth and there's a lot of error out there, but the Bible is true. The psalmist said, thy word is true. So please, when you these myths, that these fabrications that come out are so ridiculous. And when we did our myth thing on archaeology, I discussed how that every time they dig something up, it proves the Bible to be true. So let me just encourage you, my friends, please read the Bible. It doesn't matter what translation you read. Find one that you can read. Find one that you understand, and find one that you will live by. And that is the best thing you can do for your soul. Richard Williams saying, God bless you. This is another myth busted. Have a good night.